Moses had to go for some training on the mountain for 40 days in order for him to understand this technology of how heavenly things can be trapped in physical places. Have you heard of a shrine before? Shrine. Heard of it before? In a shrine, it is a physical place that a spiritual thing, dimension, is trapped through a certain technology. And when you visit that physical place, you can encounter that spiritual thing that is trapped in that place. That's the same technology that was used to build the temple. That was the same technology that was used to build the tabernacle. And when Moses ascended into the mountain, the instruction that he was given was that he should build the tabernacle according to the pattern that he saw on the mount. The reason why it is necessary, and if you notice every project that God commanded, every physical building project that God commanded, he gave a very strict pattern. I don't have time to go back and show you the dimensions that were used to build the Ark of Noah. You will notice that the measurements were preloaded. There was no room for creativity. There was no room for ingenuity. It had to be accomplished according to the pattern that was revealed. Why is God so meticulous about patterns, about dimensions? Are you with me? The reason is because if you build it in such a way that it doesn't comply with pattern, God will not be able to, it won't be able to trap God, but it will trap something else. I know you don't understand what I'm talking about. If I have any other session in this meeting, we'll go deeper. Then I will show you that Jesus, in the book of Matthew, chapter 16, he made a statement. He says, upon this rock I will do what? Build my church. And the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it. As we go on in the lecture, you are going to see how God builds. Even though Jesus is the one building, he will not come physically to build. He will build through men. So, but those men will need to keep the prescription of the pattern. Because if by any means the pattern is manipulated, what will happen is that something else will possess what we are building. So there are two options of what can result if we build his church as mason builders and he's the civil engineer that is in charge of the site. If we alter the dimensions, what we will have will not be the church. The resultant product will be what we call, according to the book of the language of the book of Revelation, to become the congregation of Satan, because the gates of hell will prevail. Are you still with me? Oh, you're not with me. Now, if I have any other session in this meeting, we'll now go into measurements. By the time we finish the measurements, like civil engineering, strength of material, you will see that what we call church now is a far cry from the apostolic pattern. And we're not sent without a blueprint. It's just that it's no longer followed. And guess what happens when the pattern is ignored? Something else begins to inhabit what we build. And that's why part of the job of the apostolic in this time, the revival that is coming is an apostolic revival, not an evangelical revival. Because what we had previously was an evangelical revival. It brought so many people into the body of Christ, and it's still bringing. But you see, when you look at the people that we call Christians, the marks of the transformation that comes from Christ is not established in them. The reason is because we manipulated the pattern, the measurements. So what we intend to do is to restore those measurements so that we can get the product that Jesus had in mind. Are you still with me? So in those days, and I don't want to go deeply into the technology of how the building was done such that it could not trap any other spirit apart from God. The building was done in such a way in the Old Testament that it captured the dimensions of human servants. It captured the dimension of angelic servants. So in the book of Luke chapter 1, where you see that Zechariah came to offer incense and he had an encounter with Gabriel, it is expected because the temple was built to capture the offices of men, to capture the offices of angels, and the Holy of Holies was built to capture the office of cherubims and to capture the office of God. So that if God leaves his throne and enters into the temple, he won't know that he changed realm, because this, do you understand it? That the Holy of Holies was built to mirror his dimension, so he doesn't know that he changed realm. But we have trapped him in that place, and we can receive his counsel, we can hear his voice, we can see his illumination. So that was how it was in those days, and I don't have time to go deeper. It's not for today. When Jesus came, the presence of God that was in the temple left the temple and now had his abode in him. So there was a transition from the material to the personal. So you'll find scriptures that say in him, give me Colossians chapter 2 verse 9. There was a transition from the material to the personal. For in him dwelleth all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. So this was the arrangement. Jesus became the temple. So there was no need for you to visit the temple after Jesus showed up. Because if you go to the temple, you will not meet the presence of God there. The presence of God was trapped in a man. There was a migration from the material to the personal. So everything that God did from that time, he did with a man, and his name was Jesus.
Thanks for joining us. Feel free to follow us for more life-refreshing teachings.